Hey, Sec Guy here. Today I'm doing a little bit different video. This is my portion of my collection of fifth pocket knives. For those who don't know, the fifth pocket is the little coin pocket on your jeans, and a lot of people get knives that will fit in there, and most of the time in the normal urban life you don't need much more, and it'll do most of what you need to do, cutting cords, cordage, tape, paper, so on, opening packages. I'm going to start off with one of the knives, my original fifth pocket knife, and that is this knife. I got this back in 1977. I was at a remote radar site in Alaska, and I saw this and just thought it was really cool and cute and got it. It wasn't that expensive. It's a, if you look at the tag stamp here, it's a Valor. It's made in Japan, and it's called the Sport. And it's a handy little knife. Get 2, maybe 3 fingers on there, and for cutting up. Like I said, if you're just cutting a piece of string, can use it like a craft knife. Cutting out paper, whatever. Just handy little knife to have. I'd carry it in my utility uniform pocket. Just didn't like having a bunch of bulk in those pockets, and it was just a handy little thing. Use it for taking staples out of papers and whatnot. So it was just, again, like all these, very handy. Well, when I bought this in Alaska, and then I went to Germany. And if you've watched any of my videos, you know I really got into Swiss Army knives there. Well, in my off-duty time, I wore jeans a lot, and I was normally carrying a Swiss Army knife with me, one of the 91mm models. But if I was going out or just bumming around there on the base, I didn't need a larger pocket knife. I would carry a 58mm. This one is a classic, original classic. Got this again in the late 70s. Got the main blade, fingernail file, fingernail cleaner, toothpick and tweezers, and then the scissors. And ever since then, I've always carried, no matter what type of knife I'm carrying at least a 58mm, mainly for the scissors and the toothpick and tweezers also. Those are something that I use all the time. And then I've got a Leatherman, and this is the one that's it's the Leatherman Micro. Main tool on this is large scissors, or larger scissors, and then it's got knife blade, again fingernail file, fingernail cleaner, flat tip screwdriver. Over here they have the tweezers built in, and then here's a 2D Phillips head driver, and then the last tool is a micro screwdriver. Oh, get this into the screen. It's got a micro screwdriver and bottle opener. And Also a key ring to attach to your keys, which I know some people like to do that so they can have it with them. Now next to that is a Leatherman squirt. This is the PS4, and it's a small pair of needle nose pliers, and then the tool set is basically the same as the squirt. Got a file, coarse file, fine file, and then a knife blade. And there we go. Small set of scissors. You know, for those of you who remember newspapers, you know, cutting articles out of newspapers or what have you. Small screwdriver, bottle opener, and then a small 2D Phillips head. Now all of these, like I said, would fit into that fifth pocket of your jeans. And then I've got a Buck 425 lock back small knife. Remember one time reading an article where there was one guy who was a survivalist, and he carried like 3 knives. He carried one of these. He used it for basically a scalpel for getting sinew out of deer and whatnot. And then got the Kershaw. This is a 1600, model 1600, and if I remember correctly, this isn't the leak. Darn it, I forgot the name of it. Scallop. Something like that. It's an onion name. It's a Ken Onion design knife. It's one of the first assisted opening knives that I got. One of the unique things on the Ken Onion knives is for the assisted opening, they have a safety right there. That way this isn't going to open up by accident. I always found that not useful, because to me, you know, I'd have it clipped into my pocket. When I pulled it out, I could go like that and have the knife to cut with. It's got a good little grip on it, and it's a very handy knife. I use this a lot when I was a field tech to field strip wires and whatnot. And a lot of these smaller blades, when I was working out in the field, that's what they were used for. Opening boxes for components that needed to be replaced, field stripping wires, and so on. And then I got the Gerber paraframe. This one's made in China, and it's a frame lock. The only thing I wish this had was a little thumb stud, so you could open it up one-handed. I think that would have been really cool. But they still make this one, and you can get an oxidized version or the brush metal version like this one. And I just think that would just make this one so much handier. Then we come to the Rough Rider, and this one I just got the last year or so. It's the Cub, and it's made in China. Main reason I got this is because of the copper swirl. I got the copperhead version, and then I saw this and I was going, well, let me try it. It's a good little use and abuse knife. The copper is getting a little bit of patina on it. I use it off and on. It's got a very small blade on it. I think it's got one of the smallest blades. I think the cutting area is just a hair over 1.25 inches. So it's a very small knife. One thing I do like is it's got that extra choil there so you can get a better grip on it. You're not going to do any heavy work with most of these knives, but they're just very handy knives to have. Now here I got the Case Peanut. Had this for quite some time. Got your main clip blade, and then you've got a small pen blade, and it's just, again, all of these are just handy little knives, and they're all just kind of different styles of knives that are just really handy. This one is the heaviest one, and it's also the largest. It's a lockback. It's a Gerber knife. I got this around the same time that I got this one, but I was home on leave and saw it and just thought it was kind of cool. It's a micarta scale, and it's just real handy little knife. It's a little bit heavier duty, and it's a lockback, and I use this a lot when I was in Germany carrying it around. When I was doing something that, because this was an inexpensive knife and I ended up getting 2 of them, if I was going to do something that might ruin the knife, I didn't mind because I had a spare. So for the size of it, it's like I said, it's a small knife, but to me it was a fairly heavy duty knife. It's got a thicker blade than most knives that I've of this size, and it's about 1/8 of an inch. And again, sometimes if I didn't have a P38 with me, I needed to open up a C-rat, I didn't mind poking this into the can to open it up. Again, I wasn't worried about the knife, but it seemed to have held up. I got this in the late 70s when I was in Germany the first time, and it's still lasting. My backup I bought for this is in the collection. I've also got a medium size and a large size version of this, and I did some research and I did a video about all of these knives. This was an offshoot of K-Bar. K-Bar had it made, but they had it made under a different name for some reason, but it was made for K-Bar. And then the last one is a small Stockman. It's got the clip point blade. It's an Uncle Henry. It has the sheep's foot blade. And then a pen blade. So it's again a very handy little knife. I used, when I was using this, I was using it more often than not as a whittler. And again, most of these knives I carried when I didn't want a lot of bulk in the pocket. And sometimes I would carry, or not sometimes, most of the time I would carry my Swiss Army knife, a little classic, and then maybe one other knife in this group, especially the single blade ones. I would carry this again to have that scissors and also the fingernail file. Main reason for that is my wife, or at the time that I got them, I had girlfriends that would, knew I had a knife with the fingernail file on it. If they chipped their nail or whatever, they go, "You got your fingernail file on you?" I'd hand them this and they'd use it. My wife, on our honeymoon, the little knife I was carrying, she does crochet, and she needed the scissors to cut the yarn, and then the fingernail file. That particular knife she still has, and that was 42 years ago. So just wanted to bring this to you. Just to show you the different types of small knives that people carry. A buddy of mine, he only carries a small knife. If he carries anything larger, he's normally wearing it on his hip or around his neck. And in his pocket, he's carrying a small knife. And most of the time, that's all the knife he's got with him. So, well, I hope you enjoyed this little review of my fifth pocket collection. If you have any questions or comments about any of these knives, please leave them below. And remember, always be prepared.